After 5 weeks of NFL football, the San Francisco 49ers stand alone atop the NFC West. Niners win, everybody else loses. And was this the best coaching performance in Kyle Shanahan's career in the regular season as head coach of the San Francisco 49ers? On today's Locked On 49ers.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker at BD Peacock at Coach Crocky. Thanks, everybody, for making us your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Love our everydayers. Thanks for hanging with us. If you're new to the program, welcome. We love you, too. And consider subscribing. Hit that subscribe button, please, on YouTube or wherever you are listening to this podcast. And, there's the thumbs ups. And if you don't want to miss an episode, you can make sure you hit the notification bell as well on YouTube. And we'd like to hear from you. So comment and say hi to us. And it's a great week to be a fan of the San Francisco 49ers, I think, Croc, because everybody lost and the 49ers won. That's the way you like it if you're a 49ers fan. And I'm going to put the question out there early, and we're going to get to this topic. And I want everybody out there that is listening live, that is on YouTube, nominate some games that you think are better in the regular season that were regular. So we're not talking about playoffs and, NFC championships, but regular season wins. I'm going to make the statement that this week 5, 2025 was the best win in the regular season in Kyle Shanahan's career as head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. So Croc and some of the listeners in the chat, I want you guys to let me know what was better than this week 5. Today's episode of Locked On 49ers is brought to you by Mazda. Like the players on the field, Mazda sweats every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. So stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. All right, Croc, let's start with the West. And we're going live here post Sunday football. There's still a Sunday nighter to go, but the NFC West teams have all played. And to get to see a little glimpse in one of the best games, probably second to the Thursday night thriller, was this Creamsicle versus Seattle Seahawks. I liked the look on the field, and the game was just as good as the uniforms in this one with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And actually, it was both the Cardinals and the Seahawks losing to last-second walk-off field goals in Week 5 to turn that knife a little bit more for the rest of the teams in the NFC West. Everybody losing in agonizing fashion except for the San Francisco 49ers. And it was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who defeated the Seattle Seahawks 38-35. A really fun game to watch. And then, you know what? The Cardinals just might not be very good because they lost to the worst team in the league that we thought might not win a game all season. The Tennessee Titans with 16 fourth quarter points and blanking the Cardinals in the second half, come back to beat the Cards 22-21. So the Cardinals fall to 2-3. They're in the cellar. You got the Los Angeles Rams who lost to the 49ers. They're 3-2. The Seahawks also 3-2 now, and the San Francisco 49ers 4-1. 4-1 is the best record in the NFC, in fact, and the 49ers have that as well. So big week for the San Francisco 49ers in Week 5. And we coming into the week, it wasn't a confident week for us to think that this is where the Niners would be right now.
No, I think the vibes are just completely different surrounding the San Francisco 49ers right now. Like, that was a huge win against the Rams, and it took a lot. It took a lot of poise. It took a lot of grit. And when you see the team just capable of doing that, I think everyone is kind of put on notice. A team that was, even by myself, kind of, I don't want to say overlooked, but it's like, you just take kind of whatever you get considering the current circumstances. But, man, a win like that gives you a lot of hope for better. And, I know myself, I'm thinking, man, maybe it's a 10-win team, maybe because of the schedule. But now it's like, oh, well, why can't they be good? Why can't they be good? Why can't they be a team that is worthy of being 4-1 right now and one of the better teams in the NFC?
Man, it's such a great job that the San Francisco 49ers have done here to keep their heads above water with all the injuries. They've been the most injured team in the NFL right now. But they're not losing games that they were losing last season. So that's been phenomenal for the San Francisco 49ers here so far They've banked 3 now division wins as well. So you've got tiebreakers that are lining up for you if you're the San Francisco 49ers. So feeling good about all of those things and where you're positioned after 5 weeks of the NFL season, have a chance to lick up their wounds and get ready for week 6. And we'll see those Tampa Bay Buccaneers who are a pretty good football team, Croc. And by the way, I love the nickname of Eggs and Bacon for Egbuka and Baker Mayfield and that connection. Egbuka's the real deal, man. He went for 163 receiving yards in this game. This dude can
and that
run
was a guy we
around.
weren't super high on.
I thought he was good. I think that my take was I think he's got a high floor, but he won't be a 1 and he won't be a 3. He's just going to be exactly a 2 and be a rock solid player in the NFL. He's been way beyond that already. He looks like the real deal. He can run routes. He's got top end speed. He's got some size. He's got athleticism. He's got toughness. Dude, he's the real deal. So I missed the boat on him. He looks like a true number 1 for Baker Mayfield, and Baker Mayfield with a dime throw to him in the back of the end zone for a touchdown in that one. He's a really good player, and the Buccaneers are a pretty good team. So this is the biggest test yet coming up for the San Francisco 49ers, I think, as far as how good their team is, as they've proved so far through 5 weeks.
And traveling to the East Coast for this game, it's completely different time zone. I'm excited for it. I'm traveling out, Thursday night, I believe, to go to this game. So I get to see it in person and see what they look like. Baker Mayfield. I jumped the gun a little bit. I think I said that Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold, they were just playing the quarterback position at an elite clip this Sunday afternoon. And then right after I said that, Sam Darnold, a guy who had like 350 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, throws an interception, which ultimately led to the game-winning field goal for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, but both quarterbacks playing well, and Baker Mayfield just doing whatever it takes. This is a really gritty guy, and for 49ers defense, I think he's even better than he was last year. And he was tough last year, and I think the 49ers defended them very well, but I think their receiver core is a little bit healthier right now, and they got a young guy that seems to be very good. Yeah, the running back was it Bucky Irving and co. I think White as well. These are guys that play the running back position well. It's going to be a very tough opponent for the 49ers. I think easily the best opponent that they've played to date.
The chat is wondering if the Bucs are going to be as worried about Kendrick Bourne as we are worried about Mecca Buka with the 174 he put up last week. Justice for Kendrick Bourne. Man,
here's a question too, right here. From Sean Luke. He says, Bucks up for a trap game. So I don't know. Can you consider it a trap game if both teams are 4-1 entering the game, or are the 49ers kind of playing with house money because nobody expected them with the injuries that they've had to be 4-1 at this point?
Yeah, I don't think this could be a trap game at all. I think the Rams might have been it was a trap game for the Rams, thinking the 49ers were beat up and they were going to go walk all over the 49ers. I think that was more like the trap game. I don't think this is going to be a trap game. We got 2 first place teams playing that are 4-1 that are playing good football. And so they're going to be up for this one for sure. We get a little extra bonus practice, I think, on Monday as the 49ers get ready for a long week, some extra days of rest, left some extra days of practice if they want to use them, and how they'll do all of that to get ready for week 6. We'll hear more from Kyle Shanahan and the team this week about who's available. And there might be some new injuries, and as good of a game, kind of a breakout game for second rounder Alfred Collins with the huge play, one of the biggest plays of the game with the forced fumble. He might have a little something going on now with his knee. Man, he was sucking gas literally on the sideline. He was so tired. You could see when it was zooming in on the 49ers defense late in the game in the fourth quarter. Those guys were sucking air. They were so tired. And so gritty performance for the 49ers all around on Thursday night. And then before we talk about if this was the best win in Kyle Shanahan's regular season career, a couple quick notes on injuries. And again, we'll hear more about this and who's actually activated, but we might see Malik Mustafa back at practice this week, or if not, very soon. He's getting really close, and these guys can return from injured reserve now after 4 weeks on it. George Kittle not going to open his practice window, it looks like, this week, but possibly after the Bucs in week 6. Probably, even if the practice window is open, that's not guaranteed that a player like Malik Mustafa is going to play this week. If the practice window is open, might take a couple of weeks or whatever, but it's always good news when their practice window is open, because they have to be activated within 3 weeks or so. So there you go. Malik Mustafa getting close. George Kittle still not quite ready with his really severe hamstring injury that he suffered in week 1. So that's where we are right now on Sunday. 49ers in first place. And to get there, is this the best work Kyle Shanahan has done as head coach of the San Francisco 49ers? Let's get into it. And I want to hear your nominations of what games you think were Kyle Shanahan's best regular season wins as a 49ers head coach. Next. Today's episode of Locked On 49ers brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that make the neighborhood the neighborhood. These are the places that become an extension of home, whether it's the sports bar dedicated to your team's fan base, the spot that has the best wings in town for game day, or that beloved local chain that's rooted in your community for years. These businesses are what bring people together. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. And I've been to a ton of local businesses, a record store the other day that had the Square, with the golf course, they had the Square, and a couple of breweries locally as well that I want to mention, with the Laughing Monk Brewery, good place to watch a ball game, as is Bear Bottle Brewing as well. All use the Square, and man, Square is a proud partner of more than not just those businesses, and I'm sure you could think of some in your neighborhood. More than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/LockedOnNFL to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square, we'll see you in the neighborhood. This episode is also brought to you by Mazda. Mazda's moving the game forward for those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. And this week, there was no shortage of big-time plays from the San Francisco 49ers, and I got to highlight 2 defensive stops. The big force fumble that I mentioned a minute ago with Alfred Collins, just a haymaker of a punch, and nearly knocked out the running back in the process, but knocked the ball loose, got the Niners the ball back while the Rams were ready to plunge the ball into the end zone. And, of course, the overtime 4th and 1 stop to seal the victory. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to every Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Okay, Croc, so I put the question out there, and I'll ask it again for some new folks showing up in the live chat. I'm gonna put it this way. I am going to nominate Week 5, 2025, the San Francisco 49ers 26-23 win over the Los Angeles Rams as Kyle Shanahan's best win, his best coaching job as the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers in his career. So I want to hear from some of the folks out there. What game do you think was a better win for Kyle Shanahan's 49ers? They go all the way back now to 2017. So there's a lot of games to choose from, and the 49ers have won a lot of big games. But Croc, I'm going to go to you first. Is there a game better than this win this week for the 49ers? Not without so many players. Nobody gave them a shot. They were 8.5-point underdogs. It's rare the 49ers are that big of an underdog since we've been doing this podcast, and they come off with a big overtime win. Croc, what win was better than Week 5, 2025 for you?
All right, man. So 49ers, especially under Kyle Shanahan, they've had some really good wins. And I see some nominations so far. You know, you see the Philadelphia Eagles revenge game, and I think emotionally that was a really good one. Anytime they beat the Dallas Cowboys, regular season or postseason, that means a lot to me. But if we're talking about for Kyle Shanahan and big wins, and we're talking about importance of wins, right? And just a master class and just grit, grind it out. The Thursday night was really good, but none better than Week 18 against the Rams. You're down 17-0. You have Jimmy Garoppolo out there. He got a hurt finger. They have to win this game or they miss the playoffs, and they rallied from behind down 17 to come back and pull out a victory with, again, Jimmy Garoppolo, who was wounded headed into the game. I mean, that was just an impressive game. I was there for it, so maybe I felt kind of in the moment because I'm at the game, but that was an awesome one. That was an awesome one for the 49ers. And I think it'd be tough to find a bigger game in the sense of just Kyle Shanahan, the circumstances, what they had to go through, and how meaningful of a game that was. Because, again, I think it was the Saints. If the Saints lost, then the 49ers were in no matter what. But the Saints ended up winning. And it was like, damn, 49ers down 17 points. They got to figure out a way to come back. And yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo, man, he had a couple turnovers in that game, but they figured out a way to come back, win that game. And then ultimately in the season where I believe they won 10 games, they were like a 10-17, they went to the conference championship game, only to lose to the Rams that they beat to get into the playoffs.
Brutal loss. We can have another episode someday about the most brutal losses in the Kyle Shanahan era. And there's some tough ones when you start talking about championship games and Super Bowls that hurt, but you got to be good enough to get there first, which means you had a lot of wins too. Going back to the Jimmy G era was Eric Crocker on that one, which is a great pick, man. It's a great pick. I'll argue just to, and I don't know that I truly believe this was the best win. I just wanted to have the conversation about it. If I was to make the argument that this week 5, Thursday nighter against the Rams was number one, it's that a win in September, a win in October means the same as a win in December, right? So it was the circumstances of the game too, to be first place in division, to knock off a division rival. And, it wasn't like, okay, win or go home game, but in the end, it might be like, if the 49ers didn't pull off that Thursday nighter, they could be not a playoff team or could not win the division now in a season where we'll see if they get stronger and see where this team will end up going, and still somewhat undermanned going into 6 weeks in week 6 until they get all of their players back. There's a lot of really good ones here that folks in the chat are bringing up. I want to go to, let's go to Saints 2019 Saints win, or 2021 against the Rams week 18 to get into the playoffs. You have a better memory for these games, Croc, and for some reason, man, this stuff gets erased. And I'm like, I kind of remember the games, but you remember the little details of the games. 2019 Saints win.
Shootout. That was the shootout. That was Raheem Mostert, I believe, threw like a touchdown to Emmanuel Sanders, I believe, or threw a big pass to Sanders or Kyle Juszczyk. It was something like that. It was like a running back to a pass catcher. That was George Kittle on the last drive. I want to say it was 4th and 2, and he caught the ball and he breaks a tackle and he's running down the sideline. They're pulling on him, tugging on him. Face mask gives the 49ers extra yards to be able to kick a field goal. That was not only just a big game for Kyle Shanahan, but guys, it was a big game for belief in Jimmy Garoppolo. And I think when a lot of people think back on Jimmy G, and obviously there were a lot of times where he had terrific defenses and run game and all that, but late in that season, Jimmy kind of had to put the offense on his back. Like, the defense was not playing as well in 2019. We look at 2019 as, oh man, look at all these guys, right? We talked about DeForest Buckner and Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, D Ford, but they had some injuries, and there was a certain point in that season where the defense was not playing well. And a lot of the success was on the shoulders of Jimmy Garoppolo, having 400-yard passing games against the Arizona Cardinals. And that Saints game was as big as any. And Jimmy Garoppolo came through in the clutch in that game. So, I mean, that was a terrific kind of stretch for Jimmy G and the 49ers. But that game was huge, man. And it was exciting. And you talk about remembering. I remember where I was watching it. I had 7-on-7 football practice, and I'm there supposed to be coaching kids up, and I'm watching the 49ers game on my phone. That was a great memory, great pull of a game as well.
That is a fantastic one. People are kind of talking about Jimmy G in a way, and it's kind of a reminder because all the Mac Jones conversation now, and we've seen Brock Purdy, who came out of nowhere and then gets the big contract, and now he gets hurt, and Mac Jones comes in and plays well while Brock is out. And I think people have a weird, because people were all about Jimmy G. You're talking about all these big wins the 49ers had. They went to a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. 49ers fans loved Jimmy G. He was like the savior of the franchise. Remember how bad they were until he came in 2017? It was like, why does this look so easy for this veteran quarterback to come in? And all of a sudden the team is competitive and wins 5 games, and they couldn't win a single stinking football game of the worst team in the NFL. It was wild. And
And for a team that was close, I know the 49ers lost like the first 9 games of the season, but remember, they broke a record for 5 straight losses by 3 or less points. And, I don't think everybody knew that, but I thought they were like, they're like a few players away. And then come to find out, they were really just a Jimmy Garoppolo away, and they ended up going undefeated with him at quarterback when he showed up.
Yeah, and so and people talk about Jimmy Garoppolo like he's the most trash quarterback that's ever existed, but there were times when people talked about Jimmy Garoppolo the same way they're talking about Mac Jones right now, same way they were talking about Brock Purdy in 2022, 2023, right? And it's pretty wild, and it's a feather in Kyle Shanahan's cap, really, and how good he's been with his quarterbacks and elevating quarterbacks. And I think we need to calm down about the Jimmy G stuff, because he was really good for the 49ers. He had some injuries, and it turned out to be not as good at the very end, and he hasn't looked nearly as good anywhere else. But people forget the way they talk about a guy, and then the way things can change in the NFL. And people forget about how the way they used to talk about Sam Darnold and the way we just talked about him in week 5 of 2025. People how it used to talk about Mac Jones a certain way, and the way we're talking about him now in week 5 of 2025. So just something to bank and remember when you're talking about guys and how garbage they are, how good they are, what they can be, what they were. And there's a lot that goes into it, including who your coaches are.
Yeah, I think with Jimmy Garoppolo, you see right here from Lee in the chat, he says, Jimmy was never the same after the knee injury. And we see it right here as well with Tony. He says before the knee, he was money. But the conversation I just had about the Jimmy Garoppolo in that stretch when the defense was not good in 2019, that was post ACL injury. And that was maybe the best version of Jimmy Garoppolo that I've ever seen, where he legit had to put the 49ers on the back. Again, against the Saints, they gave up 46 points. He had to score 48 to win. And he did a lot of heavy lifting. That's not to say that he didn't have terrific guys around him, but I think people do kind of downplay how well he played at different times. Now, you want to say postseason, he wasn't good. I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
But in the regular season, there was a lot of really good from Jimmy Garoppolo that, for whatever reason, a lot of people like to kind of forget about. I throw out the couple of Arizona games. I mean, he had 2 games in one season against Arizona where he threw for over 400 yards in each game and 4 touchdown passes in each game. Like that doesn't sound like, oh, somebody that's not good post ACL injury to me.
And of course, we start talking about all this stuff, and you bring up Trey Lance, which somebody has in the chat, and it's like, it really makes Trey Lance look bad with how good everybody else has looked at quarterback for the 49ers.
Yeah,
and
he wasn't ready.
And it's just like he wasn't ready. It wasn't the right dude at the right time. Next, there's more games, more nominations.
Hold on. Real quick. Gopher in the chat says, I trusted Garoppolo more than I did Lance. If we're talking about in the clutch, I don't think there's any quarterback I've trusted more than Jimmy Garoppolo in key situations. Again, there's times it didn't work out, but it worked out a lot more than it didn't with him under center. And that's not to say he was great for the entirety of a game. I mean, he did. I think it was Grant Cohn that calls him the arsonist and the fireman or whatever. Like he starts the fires, he puts them out. But in clutch situations, he was good. He was good. Not as much in the playoffs, though. And that's when it counts most.
Yeah, the 49ers are really good at running the ball in the playoffs with Jimmy G at quarterback. All right. More nominations for the best wins in Kyle Shanahan's head coaching career in the regular season for the San Francisco 49ers next. This episode of Locked On 49ers brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Week 5 is nearly over now in the NFL season, and FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss to get you ready for Week 6. If you're not already in on FanDuel right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Talking about build your own parlays, same game parlays. FanDuel gives you so many ways to play, including weekly lines. You can find all the lines all the way through week 18 already up at FanDuel. Tons of player props, and even follow live in-game lines and bet in-game when you feel the momentum changing in a game, whether it's NFL football, college football, playoff baseball, got the NBA and NHL season starting, and a whole lot more. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today. And if you win your first $5 bet, $300 in bonus bets. That is FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. All right, we got some more nominations here, and just about every quarterback era of Kyle Shanahan football has been nominated, Croc. And a lot of folks really want to talk about the Seattle 2019 game. A lot of games from
last game of the season.
I believe that was the last game of the season, 2019 at Seattle. We've got multiple week 17. Yeah, that was before they had the 18-week seasons, right? At Seattle, Alex says, at Seattle, week 17 to clinch the 1 seed with the Greenlaw stop at the goal line. Tough to top. I got to agree with Alex. That one is tough to top. That's one of the biggest highlights in this era of 49ers football against the Seahawks, who were so hated at the time. It was not that far removed from the post-LOB Seahawks era and how much animosity there was there. And that huge stop with Dre Greenlaw, that was a big arrival for Dre Greenlaw as a 49er too, making the stop at the goal line last week of the season to clinch the 1 seed. That was a huge one.
Yeah, we have one person in the chat, Niner Faithful, says that was solid, not Shanahan. And we're talking about Shanahan's wins, but he is the coach. And I would say, again, you go back and kind of just look at the box scores. I don't have it up in front of me, but anytime you see Jimmy Garoppolo as efficient as he was, like the 49ers were scoring points that game. They didn't score like a ton, but it felt like every time they got the ball, they were scoring. But it was kind of like these long, drawn-out drives. And then I feel like in the second half, there was like one drive where they didn't get points, and that allowed the Seahawks to get back into the game. So it was a great finish to that game and an awesome job by Dre Greenlaw. And I think that was kind of the start of big play Dre. He matter of fact, Seattle in general, I believe earlier that season, maybe midway through the season, in the overtime game, he had an interception that we thought potentially clinched that game. 49ers ended up missing the field goal, lost that game. But, oh, man, some big-time stuff there. And that game really was big for the number 1 seed. I still believe that 2021 or 2022, the game where the Saints had won and the 49ers had to get it, that's just bigger because it was win or go home. And how many times have the 49ers in the regular season been in win or go home games? And really throughout that it was like 3 games or so. Like they had to win every game. The playoffs kind of started early for them. But that was huge. A lot of great. I'm thinking about all these games, man. A lot of great moments.
I got
during the Kyle Shanahan era.
I got the box score up right now. 2019 Seattle, week 17. It was a 26-21 win for the 49ers. Niners blanked the Seahawks in the first half, so they were up 13-0 at halftime. And the Seahawks came back with 21 second half points, 14 fourth quarter points. And the Seahawks were 11-5 that year. So and the Niners ended up being 13-3. So if the Seahawks would have won, they would have both been 12-4 teams. And then the Seahawks, obviously, with that stop, Seahawks had the ball with the chance to score a touchdown to win that football game in the fourth quarter and really complete the comeback. And if you look at, there's like the win probability graph of the game, and it's like kind of up and down. And then the fourth quarter, it shoots all the way down from the 49ers to the Seahawks side, and then dips all the way back up to the 49ers side on that last drive of the game. So that was a phenomenal win and a really fun game. And you think about the games that get you off your feet. That one had big moments, and obviously when you're clinching it to go to the playoffs against the Seattle Seahawks.
Right here, Gopher says, when you consider the best coaching win, you need to look at the least amount of mistakes by the opposition. So if that is what we have to go off of,
like if they didn't give you the game, is what he's saying.
Yeah, like because in the Rams game, the 49ers had, you punched out a ball on the goal line, like where it looked like I think 49ers are winning this game. They're about to run in there, and boom, one of your defensive players made a play to kind of change the trajectory of the outcome. Then you had a great stop at the end on fourth down. So, you kind of look at where your opposition kind of messed up a little bit, as opposed to the Saints game. It was almost like whoever has the ball last is going to win this game. And that was, I mean, it was 48-46.
I mean, anytime it's 48-46, those are fun games. You know, a lot of teams have to make some mistakes for the other team to score a lot of points too. And the job that Kyle Shanahan did in this game was because of what he didn't have. We draw the picture of all these stars making plays. It wasn't a star-studded making plays game. It was Kendrick Bourne and a second-round guy who had hardly made any plays for the 49ers, right, in week 5. And so that's why I think it was such a great coaching job, is because he's overcoming all the players he was missing there.
Yeah.
And so that's a big one. I mean, 2019 had some
Do
bangers.
you remember this game?
Yeah.
Where Jimmy Garoppolo converted, I mean, what was it, 3rd and 17? And I want to say like back-to-back, third in really long situations where it was 3rd and 17, boom, threw a strike to, I believe, Kendrick Bourne for a first down. And then they were backed up again, 3rd and 17 again, and he threw a ball downfield to Emmanuel Sanders, got in field goal position, and the 49ers won. So when we talk about Jimmy Garoppolo in the clutch, man, we got to put a little bit of respect on Jimmy G in some of these drives, because he's right. I forgot about that game. But it was now, I believe he also threw 2 interceptions in that game. So, and he was a big part of why the 49ers had to come back in some of these games. But just the way he finished, that was really good by Jimmy G. And again, really good coaching to kind of just call the plays to put the 49ers in position to convert on those throw downs by Kyle Shanahan.
There's a lot of people that are nominating the game that you nominated as well, Croc. And this is fun to go down memory lane and remember some of these games and remember some of the, which I'm so bad at, remember some of the details from these games as well. The other thing that the question that comes to my mind that I've also seen in the chat here, should we be talking about Kyle Shanahan as coach of the year right now in 2025? I think his name should be up there. I can't think of too many guys doing a better job. There's nobody doing more with less right now.
There's no way anyone else should be even remotely considered over Kyle Shanahan right now. And I did see the odds. He's like 3rd, I believe, in the odds to win coach of the year right now. I think he should be 1st. And I think everybody would vote him 1st. When you just consider what he's going through, the players that he has out, and he's still figuring out ways to win games, that is tough. I mean, look, you went into a game and it's like, yeah, we got Christian McCaffrey, but we can't run the ball. And we got a backup quarterback. You're not supposed to win 3 games. You have a backup quarterback that's 3-0 right now. Like, you're not supposed to win that amount of games. 1 game, all right. 2, man, that's really good. 3 and be 3-0, and that is big time. And I think a lot of that is Kyle Shanahan putting guys in position for what's best for them. Kendrick Bourne is the guy you have to go to. It's not George Kittle. It's not Brandon Ayuk. It's not Deebo Samuel, because he's no longer on the roster, killing it kind of for Washington right now. I had another big game today. But it's Kendrick Bourne and Demarcus Robinson. Oh, and Tunges.
Tonjes. You can't forget Tonjes, man. He's leading the 49ers in touchdown receptions, I think, right now. Here's another good one. I don't think this is the winner, but it felt at the time so important for the 49ers. And do you remember all this stuff? Hold on a second. Let me bring it up.
A lot of boo-hoos last year, a lot of crying, a lot of what if, a lot of this, a lot of that. They get a chance to come back in here, line that up, and prove it again.
Hey, man, we'll catch you on Sunday.
The British RX in here says, Purdy Philly revenge game was a masterclass. That was a fun one. That was one of the best ones because there was a lot of animosity there, and that was a revenge game to the fullest.
Yeah, I think I had a little too much to drink during that game. That was I was excited for that. I was up for that. The competitor in me definitely comes out. And when you have a team, it could be my stag, football team that I coach, or it could be the 49ers. And you're talking about one of mine. You're talking about someone that's near and dear to my heart. I'm gonna want to be up for that as well. Just the competitive spirit. And I was up. I was up for that one for sure. So that was exciting watching that. I mean, it was just an ass kicking from the second quarter on. Remember, the 49ers did come out kind of slow, and they were down 6-0. I believe 2 field goals by the Eagles, and people were like, "Oh man, 49ers, they're 3 and out. Philly, they got 2 field goals," and then the 49ers just took off. They just took off. Deebo Samuel went crazy, 3 touchdowns. And I was so happy for him because he was the one in the offseason that said, oh, yeah, man, we had a quarterback. We would have won. The cornerbacks over there, they suck. And a lot of people gave him a hard time for that. But his 3 touchdown performance, everybody kind of had to shut up a little bit.
Some fantastic games to remember. What do you guys think? What is the best win in the Kyle Shanahan regular season era for the San Francisco 49ers? Let us know at BD Peacock, at Coach Crocky, or in the YouTube comments. And more on the San Francisco 49ers. Saw some other questions in the chat. We're going to dive into, what happens with Marcus Siegel if Mustafa comes back? Who starts to lose their job? We'll get more clarification on the latest injuries for the San Francisco 49ers, hopefully a lot more healthy going into week 6 than they were going into week 5, and a whole lot more. So stay tuned right here, Locked On 49ers.